Karen's daughter had simply opened the door to accept a package when the delivery man suddenly had evil intentions and assaulted her. During the attack, her daughter was on the phone with Karen, who heard her child's heart-wrenching screams through the line. Panic-stricken, Karen quickly jumped out of her car and frantically asked passers-by to call the police. She ran desperately toward home but tripped and fell, her phone flying from her hand. Meanwhile, her daughter continued to suffer. Even after the assault, the man didn't let her go. He grabbed a glass object and violently smashed it against her daughter's head. By the time Karen retrieved her phone, it was already too late. The last thing she heard was the sound of the killer hanging up. Karen's body trembled uncontrollably with fear. When she finally reached home, police had already surrounded the place. Officers asked the parents if their daughter had any enemies. Karen knew her daughter well. She had no boyfriend and wouldn't have offended anyone. Having just experienced such a devastating shock, Karen couldn't think clearly and was on the verge of collapse. The couple had no choice but to return home and wait for the police investigation to progress. They still had a younger daughter, and Karen told herself she needed to stay strong. They later held a memorial service for their daughter. Karen forced herself to smile as she greeted guests who came to remember her child. Afterward, she developed extreme anxiety whenever she saw men near her younger daughter. She imagined they might be her older daughter's killer, filling her with terror. She began visiting the police station frequently to check on the investigation's progress. Finally, she received some good news. Police had identified a delivery person who had been to their house on the day of the murder. They had already verified the DNA evidence and were confident they could bring the perpetrator to justice. Soon, Karen saw the news of the killer's arrest on television. She watched the footage repeatedly, studying the killer's face, unable to understand why he had so brutally murdered her daughter. The trial date approached quickly, but just before it began, Karen learned the perpetrator had been transferred. The police officer reassured them this wouldn't affect the verdict. When the killer was finally brought into the courtroom, he appeared completely nonchalant, showing no remorse whatsoever. After sitting down, he turned to look at Karen with a taunting expression. At that moment, Karen sensed something wasn't right. Why could he be so fearless?